Always. Hey everyone, Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danico, 3-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils, and you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go Devils!
Tonight they get the goal horn. Yes. Get the goal horn because they won a game. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Uncle Pucker New Jersey Devil live stream with myself, Bobby, and Tony tonight. And so we played a game against the Islanders. It was a lot of fun to watch, man. That was a really fun game. I totally enjoyed it. I go over it a little bit. First period scoring. You know, we're going through our whole, are the Devils going to show up early this game? Are they going to get a goal? It didn't always look like it. Islanders end up getting on the board first at 12:35 of the first. Brock Nelson gets his second of the year. That was from Engvall and Palmieri. Looked like we were going to walk into that intermission down 1-0 until Dougie Hamilton fired it at the 19-minute mark for his third of the season on the power play. Notice the trend on the power play. It's going to keep on going here. And that was from Meyer and Schmid. To end that first period at 1-1. We roll into the second, and that first 3 minutes of the second was just cray-cray. Tyler Toffoli on the power play, his first of the year from Hughes and Bratt. That was at the 21-second mark of the second period. That put us up 2-1. And then a mere, at the 1:37 mark, so a minute and 19 seconds or so, Brock Nelson gets his second of the night. His third of the year from Palmieri. That ties it up at 2-2. That goal was a terrible play that Luke Hughes had made. He whiffed on the pass. Nelson scored. But a short 53 seconds later, Luke Hughes on the power play gets his first of the year from Big Brother Jack and Bratt. That's 3-2 Devil lead. And it stayed like that for a little while, like 4 minutes. And then Bo Horvat scores his first of the year. That was from Dobson and Martin at the 6:10-minute mark. And we have a 3-3 tie going into the third. 4:30 into the third on the power play. Jack from Palat and Bratt gets his third of the year, 4-3. And then the little bit of the backbreaker at the 18:49 mark. The Islanders with the goalie pulled. Bo Horvat, his second of the night from Anders Lee and Matty Barzell. That makes it 4-4. We roll into overtime, and we're going to talk about this overtime goal from Jack because it was a goddamn thing of beauty. Jack scores the overtime winner, his fourth of the year, 10th point on the 4 games so far, leading the league. I'm sure that'll probably change after the million games that are going on today. But Jack from Marino and Timo, 3 stars of the night. Jack, number 1. 2 goals, 2 assists for 4 points. Jesper Bratt got the second with the 3 assists. And Bo Horvat with the 2 goals. He gets 2 points. Bo Horvat gets the 3rd star of the game. And we'll dive a little bit into this a little bit more, but I just want your kind of quick takes here, guys. We'll start with you, Bobby. What's your first take of this Islander win?
Yeah, listen, I love this game so much that I watched it again today.
Really?
It was, I was just we had double hockey practice in the morning, and just had a chance to sit on the couch. Turned on NHL Network. It was on, and I said, "Yep, that'll work." So watch it again. So much to like. A couple things to be concerned about, but so much to like. Their legs were going early. The team was moving. That power play is really showing us what we've been talking about, right? What they're capable of doing. I think they're at a 42 or 43% clip right now, which obviously they're not going to sustain, but you can just tell that this is going to be a lethal weapon for them. I mean, 4 on the Islanders is incredible.
42.9% on the power play right now, and that's only good for second in the league. I think the Red Wings are first.
Red Wings
in
are
the
beating
league.
us by a couple tenths of a point.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Just insane what they're able to do, and I think that that's going to be a major strength for us. You know, the game could have been a lot more of a blowout if it wasn't for Sorokin. I think I'm on the Chris train now. I think he might be the best goalie in the league to me now. The guy's flat out phenomenal. Probably at least 3 or 4 more would have went by most other goalies. It was great to see Toffoli get up there on the score sheet. Meyer got a couple there. Just overall, the energy, the way they moved, and then just Jack. Like, my goodness, man. I know you want to talk about, maybe after Tony does too, but I can't. That goal, he just imposes his will sometimes, and he's just so sneaky. The way he got that shot off in that fraction of a second is just ridiculous.
Completely surrounded by 3 Islander defenders. He's all alone out there. Makes that little move where the defender thinks that he's going to go charge the net, and turns him around, and that was all it took. And Dak was silky smooth, just makes that little pirouette, and that fucking wrist shot over Sorokin's glove hand. He had no shot on it. I don't give a shit how good Sorokin
came out of the net as fast as it went in. They said goal, and I was still looking at it going, did that go in?
Oh, really?
It was just so fast.
It was a hell of a wrist shot. Tone, what's your quick takes on the game?
Great game. We outshot them 39-32. Jack had 7 shots on goal, which is, 4 points, 7 shots. I mean, obviously, you always want him to have the puck. Like you said, Toffoli had a great game. We saw Meyer had 2 points, so he got out of. I don't know if the benching would help, but something helped, and he had I know even Ruff said after the game this was the Meyer that we want to see. I think the biggest – actually, there's 2 things that I did take from this game is I don't think the Islanders are going to be as bad as we thought they were going to be this year. There was a lot of – team looked tough out there. But Schmid, I'm not I do like Schmid, but that was a pretty – not the greatest performance. So – and Sorokin, I mean, some of those saves in that first period and the third period were just highlight films.
I mean, you play this game against a lesser goaltender. They put 7 or 8 behind him, no doubt. Yeah. Sorokin was 34 for 39. He was amazing. Schmid.
How about Hamilton's 7 fucking shots? And he was just, Hamilton was, like we said the last couple episodes, he's come in midseason form, and I'm really impressed with Dougie.
He looks like he's going to eclipse last year's total, which were career highs for him.
If he eclipses last year's totals, he's in the Norris Trophy conversation, no doubt. But, we talked on the last episode, we did our key, well, not the last episode, we did our little keys to the game. And real quick, and Tony had said his key was start fast, let's have a good first period. They totally did. I mean, their legs were moving from Jump Street. They didn't get themselves into really bad positioning. They were actually able to sustain offensive pressure. They were getting sticks in lanes. They were playing a little physical. They had a really good first period. So being able to get that goal at the end was just, a nice little cherry on top for all their hard work. The one thing that you had said, Bob, that you were expecting some compete a little bit more on the board, get on the board. You had 4 players that you had said. You said Luke Hughes, you said Nico Hischier, Timo Meyer, and Dawson Mercer. And you even said on that, I just need 2 of them. That's right. You got your 2. Timo Meyer, right? He had the 2 assists. Luke Hughes had the goal. Unfortunately, Hischier ended up getting injured late in that second. Didn't see a minute of ice time in the third. Lindy Ruff just said today, upper body injury. He didn't practice, but we're going to see how Monday goes. So
I'm hearing he's going to practice Monday.
Okay, so he's probably not going to miss any time. Right. So that's a good thing. But when he was out there, Nico was playing really good. He had 3 individual high danger chances just on himself, and then 3 shots on goal. He was, going there. But do you guys feel like maybe he's not very well liked amongst other teams? Because I feel like teams go after him.
Yeah, I was watching that game. I got that impression too. I felt like he was a target, and again, I felt like if they need to stand up for him more, but it did start to resonate with me that he's kind of being targeted often. I guess for whatever reason.
I noticed that in the last game against Florida too, and at first I thought it's Florida. They have the history. Kachuk and him don't like each other, but it was carried over with the Islanders, which I thought was a little weird. I don't know. Could just be us. And then I had said a big key to the game was establish a forecheck, which they did. They were actually had offensive zone time. They were cycling the puck. They looked a lot more like the Devils we're used to seeing in that game. And the other thing was I said pepper Sorokin with shots, and they did. I mean, they had 39 shots on goal, 43 scoring chances, and 13 high danger chances in that game. I mean, that is just every chance they had to throw a shot on Sorokin, they did it. And it was awesome to see. I think we could take a lot of good away from this game.
Islanders also had 24 blocked shots. That's how many shots we were getting on this team.
24 blocked. I mean, yeah, they were just firing everything. Now, I do want, Tony, you kind of touched on it. Akira Schmid has not been Akira Schmid, right? We haven't seen him really play very well.
Did have a
inconsistent time,
what do you make of that, Bobby? Is this something to maybe get a little bit worried about or not?
I'm not personally worried about it from a team perspective because, if anything, I've said that I believe it's more Vanacek's net, and I think that he should get the majority of the starts and not 51-49, but probably in the 60% or more. I think Schmidt's more than capable of being a backup. But I think maybe this can make some people realize that any goalie, especially ones with the talent that Schmidt has, can come into a series and take it over and have one of those moments, which he did for the Rangers, and he did not do for Carolina. So he went from superhuman to subhuman all within the span of a couple weeks. He just may need more time. He still may very well be the future and an excellent goalie going forward, but maybe flash in the pans are going to happen. But until he gets consistent minutes, maybe he's not as good as we thought, but I still think he's perfectly capable. And again, I think with Vanacek maybe getting majority of it, I'm not too worried.
I didn't like much of his goals. I just thought that some of them, if not all of them, were a little bit weak. He probably should have had him. Tone, what were you going to say? Excuse me.
I like Schmid, but I don't. I don't know. I mean,
I think I'm definitely not out on him.
I think Vanacek eventually will take over the net more majority of the games. I think eventually that I know coaches always say it's going to be a kind of a split, but I think eventually as the season wears on, it's going to go toward a certain area.
I mean, I know that is once a goalie starts getting into a little bit of a groove, whether it's Vanacek or Schmidt, they're going to get the lion's share of ice time. Now, I do think, though, Schmidt starts Tuesday night against Montreal only for the reason that you're playing Wednesday against Washington and put Vanacek in against his old team. I want to see how he does. So that would be kind of cool. Either way, it really doesn't matter. But, we have 4 games next week. I do expect probably Vanacek to start 3 of those 4 and Schmid to only start 1 of those back-to-backs, whether that's Washington, Montreal, whatever.
I think Vanacek's had enough time off already because Schmid got that start. We had a big break. We still had another couple-day break. I think he's getting in the net for the Habs.
I'd rather see
6 and 7 days. I don't know, but
I'd rather see him in the net for the Washington game. I just like to, have that, see him against his old team. But the Devils were really they were skating their ass off last night. And
how about Jesper Bratt, guys? I mean, this year he really has shown up. He had 3 assists last night. He's becoming the norm. Like you expect this from him the last couple. Now you're starting to get this feeling that we talked about it last episode. No more contract thoughts in the brain. He's just skating really well. And then we talk about Hughes. And I was talking to somebody last night on Twitter about this. I don't know who. I forget which. I apologize if they're listening who it was. But how many points is Jack? Jack Hughes is breaking the 100-point mark this year. I think there's not any doubt in my mind he's going to do it. How many points does this guy get?
There's only 4 games in. It's hard to say. I mean, if he's injury free,
injury free. That's the key. Yeah,
he doesn't miss any time. Yeah, he will totally shatter 100 points at the rate he's going now. At the rate he's going now, we're due for 200 points this season. Of course, we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
But the thing about this team right now, you saw it a little bit last night. The Islanders are not going to score 4 goals in a lot of games and
lose.
Well, and lose, and especially with Sorokin. He allowed 2 goals in 2 games before that, and we threw 5 past him. And he is super fucking human. Now we're going into Montreal on Tuesday night. They're not a superhuman team. They don't have a superhuman goaltender. This team plays like this, they'll put 7 behind them. Like, it really can be some nights really, really ugly for the other team. I liked a lot that I saw last night. I thought Brendan Smith played so much better. I thought that he had a really strong game. I thought that Timo Meyer had a great game, but I had no idea that they installed a new rule that if you get cross-checked in the face, that's a penalty for the guy that got cross-checked in the face. Why did they call a double minor? I mean, not double minor, but a coincidental minors.
I think on Timo it was supposed to be a rough. I believe
they gave him a roughing, and they gave the cross check to the.
And you saw Timo kind of side looking at the guy, and he just wanted to kind of sneak up on and give him like that little shoulder, end of the play, that little nudge. That must be what they're called, because he was going to do that aggressively and then gets a stick to the face. That's the only thing. I think even the Islanders announcers, that's who I had last night, kind of said the same thing. That must have been
those Islander announcers. That was like, I mean, that was kind of hard to listen to last night. I thought I had the Islander.
I can usually deal with Butch, but
I don't mind the Islander guys.
It was rough last night. I thought
of all the locals, I'll take them.
I do. I have to say, I absolutely love ESPN Plus with all of these games and being able to watch, because I love listening to like even today at work I was watching the Red Wing Ottawa game, so it gives you the option: do I want to listen to the Ottawa broadcast, or do I want to listen to the Red Wing broadcast? And I like to get a feel of different play-by-play guys, different color guys, so I'm like, I'll listen to the Ottawa guys for the first 2 periods, and then I flip over and I watch the third period by the Red Wing guy, and I did that all day today with all the games. I absolutely love ESPN Plus, and the fact that they give you, it's not just our stupid ESPN guys. I get to listen to the hometown announcers. I really like that. Real quick, before we get going. So we are going to, the Trap podcast, it's a trap. And there's a couple of other Devil podcasts. I think Let's Go Devils is in on it. There's a couple of other ones. So what we're
and a couple of kind of social media heavy guys too that have a good presence and a good following. Devil related.
The game plan is this: we have for our entire lives dealt with douchey Ranger fans showing up at our games wearing their fucking blue and cheering for their team, to the point that, like we've said it before, when Johnny McClain played on this team and they were playing the Rangers at the Meadowlands, he would tell the guys in the locker room, let's score first and get the crowd out of it. That's your home fucking ice, man. Right. And they've constantly been infiltrating us. And I don't know if there's anything in sports that infuriates me more than whether I'm at a Devil game, whether I'm watching it on TV, and whenever the Rangers score or something good, the place erupts like they're playing at MSG.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. So we're going to attempt to try and get a
large contingent,
big-ass contingent of Devil fans to buy a ticket and show up at Madison Square Garden. What's the date? March 11th. It's, I believe, a Monday night. I'm not quite sure about that. But March 11th, Devils, Rangers, Madison Square Garden. We will all be there, and we are going to try and get as many Devil fans there in our red to infiltrate Madison Square Garden and just give them a tiny little taste of what it's been like for us for the last 40 years. So March 11th, please, guys, you're going to start seeing it around. You'll start seeing it popping up on any other Devil podcast you listen to, any other social media, Devil social media sites. This is going to become a thing. Save your money now because, of course, it's MSG, so it's 3 times more expensive than going to the Rock, but we have a lot of time to save up. So we'll save up and we'll all get there, hang out with everybody. We'll have a couple of beers. We'll probably all be sitting in different places. Who gives a shit? We'll get together before. We'll celebrate after. It'll be a lot of fun. It would be really cool, too, to meet some of our listeners. I want to thank absolutely nobody for being in the live stream right now. So
I want to thank everybody for that.
Take the pressure off then.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We're just starting that whole thing. So, and it's a Saturday night at 10:30. So I'm sure people have a lot better things to do. But I think that's awesome that that's now a thing that we're all going to try and do. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I think it's very possible too. I think this last playoff run was probably the best showing of Devils fans and MSG in all the playoff matchups that we've had with them that I've ever seen. It was vocal.
No doubt.
It was loud. At some points, it sounded like the old days of Continental where you almost couldn't tell who was the home team based on the cheers. So there was a good infiltration there. I know it's a lot more excitement because it's a playoff game. There's a lot more on the line, reason for you to go there. But that's why we're saying do this now. Do this in a regular Monday night March game. Like, let's make it ours. It's only one, and they probably still get to do it a lot more than we get to do it to them, but it'll be worth it and it'll be fun.
We want to see some of you guys, some of our listeners in those brawls that you see online. You know, a couple of the Uncle Pucker fans beating the shit out of each other or beating the shit out of a Ranger fan.
Well, no, don't beat the shit out of each other. That's just stupid. That's counterintuitive.
Yeah,
but there's one thing that kind of worries me. Like, we're all talking about it, right? So we have like months now until March 11th rolls around, and then it's going to build up some steam, and it's going to, and then if March 11th comes around and there's like no Devil fans there, that's just going to be really deflated.
Play the wah-wah sound. Wah, wah,
we
wah.
gotta, yeah, exactly. I don't have that
that's
one.
on the listeners, not us. That's a listener problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're going to be outnumbered by these fuckers, which we, But last year, what was it like? I would say 30% Devil fans at some of those games.
Where, at the Garden?
Like? Yeah, at the Garden. Maybe more. I don't know. Maybe
I think some might have been close to more. Like I said, it was the best showing for me that I've seen at MSG, and likewise, it was actually the least amount of blue shirts that I've seen at the Rock or any one of our venues for a playoff game. It just seemed it was more Devils.
Yeah,
than normal.
It was very cool, and we got to do a little.
I'd say just really fast. I would go to. I went to a lot when I was over in Tampa. I would go to some of the Ray games, and I've never seen anything like it where the home team gets booed every game. There's only even in the playoff games, I think they had like 19,000 people show up, and they've put a quality team on the field for the last, I don't know. I mean, probably the last 8 years, Bobby. The Rays have been I know as a Yankee fan, they're a problem. But you would never. Out of all the teams I've been to, and I've been to like the Bucs games, I've been to a shitload of Raider games. I've never seen a team that when they show up to their home stadium are always outnumbered. Especially you got Yankees or Red Sox, forget about it. And I know it's in Florida. You have a lot of transplants, so I understand somewhat. But I have, like I said, I mean, you would hear the home team basically get booed. I mean, it was crazy, and it became the norm though. And then you go over the bridge to where the Lightning play. I mean, and Lightning's sold out every night. The fans are it's just blue everywhere. It's crazy.
And to Chris's point, that's why it's one of the most painful things to hear when they're in our building and thinking it's theirs and doing their thing. And
I mean, I think what drives me even slightly more batshit crazy than that is when I'm at a Devil game against, Penguins, and there's 20 fucking dudes wearing Ranger jerseys there.
Isn't that weird to me?
That just makes me so fucking mad.
It's a weird thing.
Do a little housekeeping real quick for our Hockey Podcast Network partners. DraftKings Sportsbook NFL is going strong, and DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking new customers up with an offer that's even stronger. You bet $5 on any game this week. You score $200 in bonus bets instantly, and every game day this October, you can take advantage of sweetener offers. There are some decent games tomorrow that I like as far as betting. I do not promote betting, nor is this a place where you should ever get any kind of betting advice. But I do like the Raiders favored by 2.5 over Chicago, and I like the Jets -3 over the Giants. I think that those two would cover. And if I was a betting man, I'd probably throw a few bucks in on that. But get in on the game day greatness. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code THPN. New customers can score $200 instantly in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the NFL. That's code THPN, only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. The crown is yours. How was that one, Bob?
That was a good one. I like that.
Thank you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, licensee partner Golden Nugget, Lake Charles, Louisiana. 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance or 7 days. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources. So we're going to start a new game tonight, guys. And maybe down the road, if we actually start getting people to come into the live stream that we're going to do every Saturday and stuff like that, maybe we'll get some listeners to call in and they can play the game with us because we are going to be keeping scores. So it's the Pucker predictions. This is the game where Saturday to Saturday, whatever games fall in between that week. So this week we would have Tuesday night against Montreal, Wednesday night at home against Washington, and Friday night at home against Buffalo. Each of us are going to make 3 predictions about anything quantifiable related to those games. Doesn't have to be one for each game. It can be whatever you want for those 3 games. We will give out points on every Saturday before we play the new game. We'll do a little accountability session, go over what we got right, what we got wrong, and points will be assessed. It will be 1 point for a right answer, 0 points for a wrong answer, and we get a hat trick, which would be 3 points if you make a parlay or some ridiculously hard prediction that ends up coming true. There's a whole lot of kinks that need to be worked out. We're going to work them out on the fly. I don't have a sounder for that, but I'm going to make one this week, and we'll have it for next Saturday. That's a doorbell.
My kids got me that today, so
Go something slightly different.
All right.
And again, so some predictions might be so hard in and themselves that it might warrant a hat trick point,
right?
Just because it doesn't necessarily have to be a parlay type of thing, but it can be just one that's very ridiculously hard. And like in baseball, if you say somebody's going to hit for the cycle, that would be a tremendously,
exactly. Like I have one that I think might be a hat trick.
We will decide. The panel will decide.
Yeah, and we decide it right now. So we're going to roll through that. We're going to start it. So we'll go Bobby, Tony, me. I'll write them all down. I'll keep track of them. And then Dan will give us his before the game on Tuesday. So when he's back on the show with us, he'll be able to play too. And so, Bobby, your first prediction for those 3 games is what?
My first prediction is going to seem a little odd now given the performance we had against the Islanders, but it's the one I came up with based on the team we were playing and their shots for and our shots against. And my first was simply going to be that we will eclipse 40 shots. Originally, it was in one of the first 2 games, but I'll double down on that and say we will have over 40 or over shots against the Habs.
So 40 shots or more against the Habs.
That's right.
Okay. What's your first prediction, Tone?
Vanacek will get a shutout against the Habs. So hopefully he starts that night, or my whole prediction means absolute shit.
Okay.
You could probably take something like that and roll into the second game if he doesn't start, because it's hard for you to know.
Yeah, you might want to say Vanacek will have a shutout in his next start. I think that might be better for you wording-wise, because you'll lose the point if Schmidt starts no matter what.
Especially because it's the Habs or the Capitals, so you have equal chance.
Yeah, so would you like to change that to Vanacek will have a shutout in his next start?
Smart. Glad you thought of that on your own.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, my first prediction is
wrong.
We probably will be. We have seen way too many, not too many, but a lot of penalty shots already in this first week and a half of the season. A little bit more than I've ever thought or I've ever seen early on. And a lot of them were like bullshit ones that I don't think should have been penalty shots. So my prediction is that the Devils will have a penalty shot awarded to them within the next 3 games. Is that a hat trick?
Well, it is rare enough that a very specific circumstance has to happen.
I'm asking
Tony,
you guys, yeah.
We thinking hat trick on that, or do we have to say whether or not he's going to score?
I don't think it's a hat trick.
How could you say it's not a hat? Like, why would you say it's not a hat?
Because I could say whatever because I have that right. That's why I don't know. I mean, I could say
it's a game.
I would
stupid.
say
so. What I mean, like the last shootout, penalty shot we had was regular season was I don't even remember. We had one in the playoffs against the Rangers in Game 1, but so it's rare enough. Why would it not be? Just because I don't like that answer.
I gotta go.
Well, you tell me what to say then. I don't know.
Well,
Yeah, it's a hat
why would it
trick.
not be? Why
It's
would
a
it
hat
not
trick
be a
then.
hat trick?
I don't know. It's a hat
I'm
trick.
asking.
Then. I don't know.
Is it?
But,
I'm asking you guys.
I mean,
is it a hat trick?
a penalty shot is kind. I mean, I guess it's not too. Doesn't happen all the time, but I don't know if it's like too crazy of a thing.
Did you say it's going to be in the next game?
I said the next 3 games. I'm giving him the next 3 games to get a penalty shot.
I think if you could narrow that down, we'd be more comfortable possibly awarding you a 3.
All right, I'm not going to narrow it down because it's just something that's probably not going to happen at all. So I'm going to just keep it between the next 3 games.
All right. My vote is it's rare enough to go for 3. Tony, you could stand with your not, and we'll get Dan's deciding vote.
That's fine.
Because we got to have a break even. Yeah,
I can live with that. All right. So what's your second prediction, Bobby?
My second prediction is that Brat will have 2 2-goal games in the next 3 games.
2 2-goal games. 2
2-goal games.
Is that a hat trick? I mean, it's something that doesn't happen a lot. I'm just thinking, like, is that?
I was banking on 1 easy one and 2 that might get me bonus points.
I think that could be. I would be willing to say that that's a hat trick
because it's more likely that it's not going to happen than it will, which kind of makes it a hat trick.
I mean, and it's also a more of a parlay too. You need something to happen in multiple games.
Correct.
So I think that should automatically be a hat trick.
Yeah.
Any objections?
Oh, you're not going to argue that one. Okay.
No, I can see that one.
Hat trick.
So yeah, that makes sense. Not the penalty shot, which never fucking happens, but that's all right. All right, Tony, you're up.
Let's say Brad puts 2 goals up against Washington. So that's where I kind of go with Bobby. I could see it happening because I just think Brad's red hot right now, and
so by virtue of mine being a hat trick, yours can't be.
No, his is only one.
No, mine's not going to be a hat trick.
Just because it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, mine's not going to be a hat trick. I'm 2.
All right.
The Devils will have their first shorthanded goal against the Habs. That's my second prediction.
Yeah, that's a 1 for me. That's a likely scenario.
Yep, and I'm really liking Brat on that penalty kill. Yes. It's only a matter of time. So I do like that. I'm not willing to say Brat's going to have it, but I do think that we will have a shorthanded goal, whether it's Palat or, Heischer if he's out there. Real quick, before we go any further, you know what? We're going to jump into that after this. So, Bobby, you're next. Your third and final prediction.
This one's really reaching because I'm not coming into it with a guy who's currently scoring. And I'll tell you how I wanted to change this before I'll tell you what I'm going to go with just because it's what my initial plan was. Well, I'm going to go with Mercer getting a goal in 3 consecutive games. I was going to change it to he will start a 3-game goal-scoring streak, which means that could be one of multiple scenarios.
Right.
He could have 1 by the second and 1 in the third. He could just have 1 in the third game. But I like the idea because I know there was a couple times last year where when Mercer got on the board, he got on the board in consecutive days a few times. So hey, I'm reaching out there for points. I know this is terribly hard to get, but Mercer's going to get a goal in all 3 games.
That's a hat trick, no doubt. I was just looking at the ones that I had written down.
My return will be 0, but it's a hat trick.
Kind of annoyed that I have here, Devils will shut out the Capitals, and Tony Vanacek will shut out the Capitals. I got to pick another one. All right, Tony, you're up. Third and final prediction, sir.
Jack Hughes will have 5 goals and 4 assists in the next 3 games.
Wow.
Oof, big set of balls on you.
That would put him at 19 points.
And how many assists?
4 assists in the next 3 games.
9 points in the next 3 games?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the opponents, Tony's got cause to do that, and
look
still is going to take a hell of a lot.
That's a hat trick.
Oh, for sure.
That's definitely. I mean, like I said, anything that you need to happen in multiple games, I think should be automatically be the hat trick, or it's got to be something completely ridiculous, like that doesn't happen a lot. So now I have to, on the fly, come up with my third one because Friday night against Buffalo, Devin Levi will start the game. He will not finish it.
Ooh.
So that's what I'm going with. Devin Levi will be pulled, or whoever is the goalie for Buffalo. I don't want to tie myself down for Devin Levi because if it's one of the other guys, I don't even know who else is their goalie. So are you guys cool with that? If I just write any goal, whoever starts in Buffalo, is that cool? So starting goalie will get pulled Friday night in Buffalo. Starting Sabre goalie pulled.
Yeah.
I like these guys. These are pretty good for our first go around. So next week we'll go over, who got them right, who got them wrong, and we will assess the points. Bobby, you have 2 hat tricks that you're going with. Tony has 1. I have 1 pending, apparently. So we're gonna wait on Dan for that one. What?
Yeah, I really should have probably saved the Mercer one until I see him start doing something, but it got in my head and I just can't let it go. So now he's got to do it for me.
Maybe
That's
let's give
a
him
lot.
spark.
How cool would it be if he's got a goal in the first 2 games, though? We're all watching that Buffalo game. Like, is Bobby actually going to fucking get this? Like, that'd be sweet.
I'll tell you though. I mean, I know like we always have our little silver linings and things to try and be positive about when they lose. Was there anything in this win that you guys saw that you didn't like? What's our quibble? It's the quibble section of the show now. What is it about it that you didn't like? What would you like to change?
I'm gonna let Tony go first. I think he already kind of announced his quibble.
I got 2 things. Obviously, the goaltending is a little bit of I don't want to say concern, but it's in the back of my brain. Also, we were out hit again, like 22-10. I saw a little bit. I mean, I don't see an aggressive team out there totally, but if we're putting up the points, I can't really complain. But I would think the biggest concern would be Schmid. I think anybody has to have a little bit of like a head scratcher, like, okay, what are we going to wind up with?
Well, just to kind of about that, like, we don't know what we have with Akira Schmid. All right. So, I mean, this is all.
And we've said that
new.
during the offseason too.
Right.
I mean, it's not a surprise.
So, what if he's not the guy? What is our backup plan, our plan B when it comes to, Vanacek? Or God forbid Vanacek gets hurt. Or what if Vanacek has a rough go of it too? Like, that's the only thing. Like, who is our next guy up?
Dawes is out till December, so it's not going to be him.
Kincaid?
It may.
I guess it would be, right?
You're right. You say that about Vanacek getting hurt, and that would be to me, that would be a very, very bad thing for this team. I mean,
right.
And I'm not saying that we've seen Schmid win some games, but I mean, in the long run, I think it's going to hurt us.
Yeah. So it would be Kincaid, right?
Yeah. I think at this point of the season, I don't know much, of like who would be up because I don't know the numbers in Utica right now because it's so early, but
yeah.
But like I said, I just know that Nico's out until at least December. So Dawes, that is.
Yeah. And what about you, Bobby? What's your quibble?
Yeah, I really don't have anywhere else to go but the goalie situation. Like, in a more hierarching way, I just wanted to say that the fact that if you put up 5 against Sorokin, like I don't want to see them getting 4. But that's basically saying what I'm saying is it was the goaltending. It didn't really live up to expectations for that game. That's all. I'm not worried yet. Like, you just posed a hypothetical. So
sure.
Obviously I'm not saying you're worried either. You're just putting it out there. But yeah, for that day, it was concerning.
My quibble is a little bit of the goaltending, but it encompasses the whole team. We had a problem last year at the end of periods, letting up goals. We had 2 points in our pocket against a division foe, and we gave them a fucking point with less than 2 minutes left in that game with their goalie pulled. That drives me crazy. I just sat there going, wow, they're going to blow this? Like, they outplayed the Islanders for 60 minutes. The first time in 4 games that they outplayed their opponent for the entirety of the game, and they're going to freaking blow it in OT or a stupid shootout. Thank goodness Jack did what he does, but like, we gave them that point. We had 2 against a division foe, and we gave it to them, and that drives me crazy, man. You cannot let these teams crawl back into games, especially super late in the third with the goalie pulled. Maybe if Heischer's out there, maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe there's a little bit more defensive responsibility, and that was probably the only goal that I don't fault Schmid for. He was tried to cover it. He was on his belly. There was a melee around him.
Yep.
Yeah, the puck got loose and it gets behind him. That's the kind of shit that bothered me. That did bother me.
They had a lot to clean up coming into this game, so I'm going to give a pass on that one for now. Like, hopefully got some other shit straightened out. And then they can work on that next, because it's going to take a little while to round out, every aspect of the team. But when they do show, again, what they can do, to your point, that kind of shit shouldn't happen, because they can just outplay most teams.
We did our lines all summer. We did a bunch of stupid shows of just, talking about this season and what to expect. And a lot of it was speculation. But the one thing that we always kept saying, and we saw it during the preseason, was this power play can be something magical. On par with what the Oilers did last year. And we saw it in the preseason. And then last night, does it worry you guys at all that our 5-on-5 was suffering a little bit last night, where last year we were one of the best 5-on-5 teams, and last night every goal came on special teams? Does that worry you at all?
Doesn't worry me that we've got every goal on the special teams, because that's just the situation that happened, and we capitalized on that. But in general, I would like to see their 5-on-5 play be as dominant as was last year, because to me that was kind of the key to that whole season. That's what really drove them. And then, the penalty kill, which was really good, and the power play, which was middle of the pack, was just it was a substitute to that. It was just like a little extra. And we kept looking at it saying, if this team could play anything like they played last year, 5-on-5, which is the majority of the time, and then parlay that 13th in the league power play to a top 5 and maintain probably not number 2 penalty kill. I think we all said that in the summer. We don't even expect them to, but still in the 5-6 range, then that's just like a triple win for the team. So I'd definitely like to see the 5-on-5 cleaned up. I just think some of that has to do with, again, this schedule. It's been choppy. There's been no rhythm. I think once this team gets in a rhythm, that we're not going to have that fear anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go with it's still early, and they've been inconsistent every game. Obviously they came out at first slow. Last night was great. So obviously the 5-on-5, to have a good year, you definitely want that. But I'm just thinking right now, I would fucking power play I would love to have a power play like that every night, like last night. But I'm just going to go with that. It's every game is obviously we're only a couple games in, but it's like a different team every night out there.
Well, I mean, if you get the 5-on-5 to where it was last year, you get that power play in the mid to high 20%. You get your penalty kill. I'll even say top 10 on the penalty kill. I mean, we were 4th in the league last year. I think we can do around there. I think we can stay in the top 5. But I would even say if your PK at the end of the year is in your top 10, your penalty kill, your power play is in the top 3 or 4, and your 5-on-5. If you're, goals for, and you have, a huge margin between goals against, and you're just lighting people up, this is a very, very dangerous team. And it's like, just all on the back of Jack. Like that swagger that he brings, and, the whole team just follows. And I love it. And there's one other thing I want to touch on before we go, because we have with some injuries, right? Hala's not playing, Nosik's not playing. We didn't have this last season. The depth of this team right now looks really good. I thought Chris Tierney played a really good game last night. I thought that Nate Bastian played a really good game. I thought Curtis Lazar played a good game for the time that he was out there. Like the depth now, we didn't have that last year. And I like the fact that we have Noshik and we have Tierney and we have some of these dudes that can step in. Hala's been one of our best players through 3 games. And, McLeod moves up, plays really good on that line. Lazard did what he had to do on that 4th line. I think our depth is something that's going to be leaned on a lot this season. And it's going to be, and if it keeps on doing what it's doing, it's really going to help this team maintain top of the standings. I really believe that.
Yeah, I noticed a couple other things in the game, too, that I wanted to bring up. Specifically to Toffoli, what's really starting to impress me with this guy is I have a hard time kind of articulating this, but he knows how or when to do the flash and to just do the solid, like, straight-up play. It's like he's got this perfect little switch that he knows, like, this is time for something fancy that fits the realm of the game or just a straight shot. And I can't really explain it any better than that, but I just see that in it just being a veteran, just knowing the difference between, taking like maybe a high risk chance or doing some kind of fancy dangle or just driving straight to the net. It's kind of like just an all around player. So I really like what I'm seeing in there. And to your point, this isn't really so much about depth, but maybe about some of the lesser character guys on the team. I saw some things like from Holtz again last night that really impressed me. It didn't wind up going on the score sheet, and it was probably missed by a few. But right after the Islanders tied it 3-3, Holtz had possession of the puck. He did this fancy dangle
Beautiful
move.
pass. I mean, beautiful move.
It was insane.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It didn't work out. But here was a kid, he tried to take that moment, put it on his shoulders, and get the Devils back on top. And he's not known, quote unquote, for his hands as so much as his big shot. But this is a skilled kid. And I just thought that one little play meant a lot coming from him to just try to take it. Again, it didn't work out. Maybe next time it does.
It was
but
a
that's
really sweet
confidence.
move,
You
though.
see it grow. It was a sweet move.
Yep.
Really sweet.
This team right now, if they're just, like Tone said, they're finding themselves, figuring out exactly what this 2023-24 Devil team really is. If it's anything like, what we saw last night. I mean, I just keep on telling myself, like, look, Ilya Sorokin was on his fucking game last night. Like
Incredible.
a lot of teams, he's shutting them out last night. Like he was so fucking dialed in. You put 5 past him, dude. Like that is the thing I keep on going back to. Like you're not going to face Ilya Sorokin every single night. I mean, you're going to, of course, there are great goalies. No goalie in this any goalie in this league can steal a game. But I think it does something for your confidence when you're up against one of the best and you just put 5 past them. It wasn't 4 in an empty netter. No, it was 5 clean, dude. And it was a beautiful fucking thing.
Let's just hope they don't play down to the next goalie. Hope that wasn't a play-up scenario. Because, I was thinking the same thing. That glove save on Jack with his patience and his, like, triple deke right there, right in front of him. Most goalies are not getting that. I mean, the patience that Jack showed and how quickly he actually got the shot off, too, for how close in he was to the goalie and to still kind of get that lifted up from that close in. It was a beautiful shot. And maybe half the goalies get it. I don't know. All I know is Sorokin made it look easy, and he does that on a lot of saves. So,
all right. I just want to go over a couple of some scores from today and then anything else that you guys want to discuss. So today, the Red Wings beat the Senators 5-2, kicked the shit out of the Senators in their building. The Red Wings looking like a team, man. They really are.
They really are, yeah.
The Coyotes, with their 3rd win of the year, beating the Ducks 2-1. I watched some of that game. I forget the name of the goaltender for the Yotes, but he played really good. Let's see. The Sabres beat the Islanders 3-1 today. That had Varlamov in net for the Islanders, and that was up in Buffalo. The Maple Leafs beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in overtime. The Canadians beat the Capitals, who are just in overtime, but Capitals are just a bad team right now. Like, they're really bad, dude. It's actually surprising. I didn't expect them to be very good, but I kind of didn't expect them to be this bad, especially Ovi. Up until today, he was 2 games without a shot.
Wow.
Like, yeah.
Never happened before.
No, and I don't know how many shots he had tonight, but the Panthers lost to the Canucks 5-3. The Golden Knights spoiled Connor Bedard's home opener 5-3 in Chicago.
They look sick.
Who, the Knights?
Yeah.
This is they're the only team to go 6-0
after
in regulation after winning the Stanley Cup. Like,
very impressive stuff.
It really is. They are a really good hockey team.
Yeah.
The Predators beat the Sharks 5-1, and we have some games that are in action right now. The Blue Jackets and Minnesota Wild, it says 5-4. I guess the Blue Jackets just won in overtime, so that just happened. The Blues beat the Penguins 4-2. The Stars beat the Flyers in overtime. The Avalanche are whooping up on the Hurricanes 6-3. That's at the end of the second.
Thank you, Avalanche.
Thank you, is right. The Oilers are up 2-1 at the end of the first. And the New York Rangers, Seattle Kraken are tied 1-1 with 4.5 left in the first. And the Bruins and Kings just started about a quarter way through the first. That's 0-0. A lot of hockey. And then Tuesday night is the Frozen Frenzy, the only time ever in NHL history that all 32 teams are playing in one night. That's going to be pretty cool.
Is it? I thought they tried to do that once a year now. I could have sworn that happened before. Is this the first time?
That's what I heard.
Last year, I think, too.
I thought it was last year, but maybe not. Maybe either one.
I heard that it was the only time ever. But let's find out.
Yeah. Kind of remember celebrating that day peacefully, quietly in my man cave with a beer.
You remember that? 32 NHL teams played on the same night. Yeah, I think it was like one of the shows I was watching. Yeah, it says here occurs to okay, this is just telling you about the Frozen Frenzy. First ever Frozen Frenzy. Maybe that's what I misread, that it was the first ever Frozen Frenzy and not the first ever time that all 32 teams were playing. All 30 teams. Yeah, so they're like staggering the starts and everything. I think that's pretty cool. We play, I think, 7:15 that night on Tuesday night. So yeah, that'll be fun. I'm not sure. I got to check and see if this is the first time it's ever happened at all 32 teams, and that means
either way, it's fun. It's nice to have.
And because of that, there's only one game on Monday night and one game on Wednesday night, and we're the game Wednesday night against the Capitals.
Right.
So that'll be pretty cool. So anything else you guys want to talk about before we wrap this show up? Tony looks like he's falling asleep.
What time is it? Yeah.
What time is it by you?
It's 6 a.m.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I was at the rink this morning.
I saw you at the rink this morning, man. Your boy's looking good.
Great. Yeah. It was great. We got our new coach. We met this coach for his Little League like 2 years ago. And, he'd been in like 5 different, teams on Little League since T-ball. And this one coach, I just loved him. I love certain coaches.
What's his name?
Glitter. No.
His real name?
No, it's like his first, what do you call him? Coach?
Yeah, Dan. It's Coach Dan.
So,
and
how
Coach
long
Dan
until you guys start a fire Coach Dan chant?
Yeah, right. He was so good at baseball, and just the way he taught and the way he kind of followed the rules. Like we were standing behind him when he got in an argument with like the other team's coaches because he called one of their kids out for running out of the baseline, and the coach was like, "What, are you kidding me? You can't do that. It's the minors." And Coach Dan was like, "This is exactly when you do it. These kids need to know that that's an out and you can't do it. And I'm just following the rules. These kids want to go into the majors next year. They have to learn this rule." And I just love that because a lot of coaches don't have that kind of balls.
Right.
And then we were talking with him, and he turned to me and he's like, I told him how much I appreciated his work as a baseball coach. And he said, actually, he's like, my real sport's hockey. He's like, I've been coaching hockey for 30 years. He's like, and he's the one who kind of started to tell us all these different little ways that we can get my son going into hockey for, without, jumping right to travel teams and that kind of stuff. Anyway, he's now our coach for the elementary school league. That's going to take him from kind of this age through to his high school, which Chris, you'd be excited to know he's going to be a Viking.
Yeah, you told us that. That's awesome.
So he had his first skate with him today. And just as a parent who watches his kid do a lot of sports, his time management as a coach was phenomenal. Like he was doing the first drill. I saw him glance up at the clock, all right, that's enough time. I got to move on to the other drill. A lot of these parents, myself included, I'm a coach right now. It's a part-time thing. We just kind of trying to help out. This guy, it's like he's got it all figured out. And I couldn't be happier to have him as my kid's coach. So,
and there's nothing more annoying than fucking parents. Like I coached baseball up in Pinellas actually for years in Florida. And I know actually even – so we have here, I don't know if they do it there, but like our kids are younger, so we have parent chat rooms. So for our classrooms, and man, I tell you, there's nothing more annoying than parents. So you have to give a coach credit because dealing with, my kid should be in, and it gets crazy, and especially now. I think back maybe even like 15 years when I was coaching baseball, it was like a little easier. Now everyone's all entitled and all wound up that parents are impossible. So you have to give these coaches some credit.
When I coached for like 3 years. My nephew's team, we started out. They were U8s, and these kids were not very good skaters. They were not very good at all. We stayed. Me and my buddy Kevin were coaching. Actually, Kevin was the coach, and one day him and I were just BS, and he's like, I can really use some help. So I kind of just started as helping him at practices to kind of then just being behind the bench at games to kind of him being like, you know what, you might want to just kind of run the practices and take the reins and stuff. So I did. We wanted to keep, so the first year, the kids were learning. They weren't good. The second year, they won about half their games. And then a lot of them were moving up to U10s. So we had to go in for the draft. And we kind of were talking to the commissioner. I ended up getting about 95% of my old team moved up in the U10s. And the third year, they went undefeated. It was awesome to see these kids just growing up and learning the game and getting better and better at it. And we had some kids on that team that were really, really good hockey players, man. Like they just had this innate skill that they were really good kids, and they went on to play in high school. And one kid, Robbie, went on to play, I know, in I think in the University of Maine or New Hampshire or whatever. So, it was pretty cool. It was a ton of fun. Coaching is awesome.
Coaching's great. Like tomorrow's our last game for Little League minors, and I feel like I just finally learned all the kids' names, which isn't true. I've known it now for 5-6 weeks, and it's fall, so it was a short season. But you really do start to feel like they're my kids. You know what I mean? And I'm not even the head coach. I'm an assistant coach, but still I have a lot bigger role this year as an assistant coach. And I really do feel like it's my kids, and you watch them get better and better game to game. And even with my kid, all the hockey we've done, I just finally figured this out in my head the other day. This time last year, he was just finishing up his first ever learn to skate.
No shit.
We got him on the ice about 2 weeks before Learn to Skate started, and by the second lap, he was off the boards. And then we went right to a 6-week program. After that, we went into Learn to Play for multiple times and then did like a cross-ice league. But that's it. So he's been playing hockey, for what it's worth, practicing or playing for 1 year almost to the day. And when I look at the skill progression, because he's 9, I didn't start at 4. This is not his normal thing. Like some of these kids were skating before they can walk. He's got to work really hard at it, and he's just doing phenomenal. But to see it, to literally look at it and go, oh, my God, this time last year, he was holding the stick wrong. He was nothing. And now he's skating backwards. He's doing all these drills. It's just
that's fantastic.
So much fun. And it's his one and only. Like baseball is now kind of like, I want to get some reps. Let's do baseball again. It's maybe on, maybe off.
But he's about playing hockey.
That's
my daughter's skating already, and she's at 4. So we're trying. It's difficult at that young age to
It is.
But I mean, we started getting her out there. I go out there with her, and it's
you got it, man.
Yeah,
get them out there young. Get them out there playing. And so we're gonna come back early next week. We're gonna preview some of the games, probably the Montreal-Washington game. That'll be Tuesday and Wednesday. Get a little ready for the Frozen Frenzy on Tuesday night. For Bobby, Tony, I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers, and we'll see y'all when we see you.
Later. Peace.